Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a great day today. It is a March kind of day out there. A little chilly, drizzling rain, more rain coming this weekend. Um, just an interesting day outside, to say the least. So, glad that you all are doing well. I hope today as you hear this. I want to talk to you today about honoring people. And in particular, given the historical significance of this weekend, I want to talk to you about honoring people in the face of clear trends. So what am I talking about? Graham Martin may not be a name that you're very familiar with, but Graham Martin is a North Carolinian, born and raised at Mars Hill, educated at Wake Forest, entered the Foreign Service of the United States, was the American ambassador to Thailand and Italy and the Southeast Asian version of NATO, CETO, which I don't think exists anymore. And his last assignment was as ambassador to the Republic of South Vietnam. And he was there this time 48 years ago during the fall of Saigon. And a lot of the problems, and I'll say it that way, a lot of the problems that are associated with America's withdrawal from South Vietnam and that surround the fall of Saigon stem in some large part to, I shouldn't say large, but into some moderate part to Ambassador Martin. Ambassador Martin had either a nephew or a son, and I cannot right off the top of my head remember which is the case. Anyway, someone he was very close to die in South Vietnam. And so he could not bring himself to do the things that were needed to bring about a successful evacuation of South Vietnamese nationals that had worked closely with the American government, or even really and truly with American nationals, to get everybody out in time. And a lot went wrong. He couldn't get them out because he thought he couldn't make the decisions that he needed to make, in part because he thought that he would be dishonoring that deceased relative's service. You know, I think about that, and I think about the impacts of grief in our life, and I think to myself, you know, very often you and I cannot let go of things because of our bonds back to whatever. And we think that it's going to bring them disservice. When really, our task is to allow things to have good endings so as to enable them to have a part of transfiguration, a rebirth into something else. You know, you look at those last days in Saigon, and it just puts a bitter taste in most mouths because of all how it went down. It really doesn't honor anybody. So my question to you today is, are you being Graham Martin? Are you being Graham Martin by not allowing things to die in your life gracefully, recognizing the tides that are against you? Though you may not like the tides, recognizing the tides that are against you. And then, how can you let it die in such a way that a beautiful rebirth can occur? Won't look the same. I certainly don't think that any of our understanding of the impacts of America's 2-decade-long involvement in South Vietnam looks anything like we could think about it looking. But how can you do that in such a way that will honor the past through the rebirth? Boy, these are all sticky matters. We need the Holy Spirit to give us wisdom. We need the Holy Spirit to give us grace in order to make these decisions. But in hearing that also, we recognize that grace does abound. It does. And that the Holy Spirit will always come to our aid. We don't have to be Graham Martins. We do not have to be Graham Martins. If you like more on the events of the fall of South Vietnam, I would recommend to you a wonderful PBS documentary called The Last Days in Vietnam, or you can watch Ken Burns' excellent series on the Vietnam War, all of which occurs this weekend in history. So, I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. Remember, grace abounds. Blessings to you.